If you've been following this channel, you'll know that we go to all the high-end stores and then we go to the thrift store and see what we can come up with for a whole lot less. But one comment I pretty much get consistently is that you can't find the stuff I'm finding, or even if you do find it, it's definitely not as affordable. So we are going to HOMEGOODS and I'm going to share with you guys all of my tips and tricks when I shop at HOMEGOODS, what's worth the price and what's not. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Starting this video off with some wall decor options, I think that HOMEGOODS, when it comes to the small scale artwork, is very fairly priced, and you couldn't really make some of these pieces for less, even by shopping secondhand. So this one here, loved the linen frame, loved that aged brass detail. The picture inside was also beautiful, and it's only $9.99. Let's say I were to DIY something similar to this by DIYing a linen frame, downloading something off Etsy, I'm already at that $9.99 price point. However, when it comes to your large scale artwork, this one is a big fat no for me in terms of buying it from HOMEGOODS. And the reason why I always go back to my question, which is, can I easily find or make this more affordably elsewhere? You'll notice a lot of the large scale artwork has frames. I recently showed you guys in an Anthropologie dupes video how you can very easily just take some scrap wood and make your own frame on a thrifted piece. Also, black and white photos, I find those all the time at the thrift store, and they're so much more affordable than anything you would find at HOMEGOODS. The abstract artwork, this one is the one that really kills me, because you guys, I think we can all do this. Like, I don't think you need to spend $50 to do this. I'm pretty confident that you could adjust it to your color palette and it would look just as good. But then there are certain wall art pieces that would require some extra set of skills to maybe make something that's a little bit more detailed, like this mixed metal wall art piece. But even if you can't do that exactly, just gain inspiration from it. I loved that wall art piece from Crate & Barrel. I grabbed 10 wood pieces from the Dollar Tree, connected them with old hangers, stained them, and I think it looks just as good, but on a budget. Also, the three-dimensional artwork, I think, for example, this one is A, damaged, and then B, you can customize it now to anything you want. I found this very random wood piece at the Goodwill bins for like $1, just cut it down and made like a checker print pattern on a scrap piece of wood that I had in my stash, and then I just stained it. And that is just a really simple way to take inspiration from something and make it your own. Next up, let's talk about lighting. I think if you're looking for two of the exact same lights, or if you're looking for a very special type of lamp. So for example, I love this Capiz light from Anthropologie, but it's almost $250. This one here at HOMEGOODS is just about $80. You get an overall similar look, and I just ask myself that same question. Can I easily find or make this more affordably? I really don't know how I would even get started on making something like this, and I've never seen it at a thrift store. So this would be an example of something I would purchase. But that's not to say I haven't had a lot of luck thrifting many other lights. I would still say that 90% of the lamps in my space are thrifted. But there is absolutely one lamp I would never buy from HOMEGOODS, and that is any sort of a globe light. And that is simply because these globe shades are always at thrift stores. So next week we're going to shift gears and do some Dollar Tree content. So I'm going to give you a little preview of one of the projects. There's going to be 20 in that video. But one way to kind of revamp those is by using the top of a roll top desk. I always find these at my local thrift shop. You've seen me flip my vanity in my bathroom using this, and now we're going to take it and wrap it around a hurricane vase. I've heard other people recommend using pull wrap, but pull wrap is really expensive, and this is just $1, and I can use it in several different ways. Paint it whatever color you want. I chose to do this faux stain. When you want to add your puck light inside, just make sure you put something inside that's nice and tall so your puck light sits on top, and that really wraps it up. This lamp only cost me about $5 to make, and I think it looks really chic, but on a budget. Moving along now into the kitchen items. So when it comes to HOMEGOODS, I think that they do a really good job of keeping the prices fairly low for what you're getting. Even if you can find some of those pieces at the thrift store, it's maybe going to be about half of the price, especially when it comes to like the wood cutting boards and wood bowls. But when it comes to the marble items, I pretty much never find marble pieces that are in good condition at the thrift store. It is very, very rare. And HOMEGOODS keeps the prices really nice and low, and you get a really high quality item. The only thing I would say, maybe just check, because lately Goodwill has been buying pallets, I think, from HomeGoods clearance and overflow, and you can oftentimes find the exact same things for about 1/5 of the price. So just check first before you purchase to make sure you really are getting the best deal, which I shared an example of that with you guys last week. So with the money that I saved, I decided to add an attachment to the bottom to make it like a Lazy Susan tray. And even with that adjustment, I still was able to save over $10, and I was able to give this tray a little bit more functionality. However, an absolute no for me are their faux floral arrangements. This is something that I think is like weirdly overpriced at HomeGoods. That's just my personal opinion. I've never found something there that I thought was worth the price that they were charging. So let me give you an example. These succulent bowls, you see a $20 price tag. That's great in comparison to Pottery Barn, where you're gonna spend 6 times that price point. However, you can find really great faux florals at the thrift store. So start by finding a little planter, a little pot, little bowl that you like, and then dig. Go to your Goodwill outlet. There's always so many faux florals at the Goodwill outlet. I found a huge stash of someone's succulents. Originally, each succulent was charging $3 to $5 a piece. I was able to grab 12 of them for less than $2. So for a mere $7, I think that this looks just as good, but much more budget friendly. A category I would definitely have to give to HomeGoods are the decorative objects. And that is because while they are still going to be more expensive than what you would maybe find at the thrift store, you're going to find items that are a lot more similar to what you would find in a high-end store than shopping at the thrift store. So for example, you can find travertine bookends. Now something comparable at Pottery Barn will be 3 times the price. Same with marble. The marble decor at HomeGoods is where it's at. You can find such affordable pieces that are marble at HomeGoods. And if you really want to lose your breath, just go into Restoration Hardware and see what they're charging for these agate kind of stone pieces. I would say it's a small fortune, but it's a large fortune. These are extremely expensive, but you can go to HomeGoods and find things that are really similar, but so much more cost effective. Again, it just goes back to my question, which is, can I find or make this more affordably elsewhere? I've never seen agate pieces, unfortunately, at the thrift store, so this would be something I would give to HomeGoods. Same deal for these decorative garlands. I've seen these from Pottery Barn. I've seen them in person. They are really beautiful. They add a sculptural quality, but they're $100. So I don't really want to spend $100 on something that's just like literally serves no purpose except for a visual. Also be careful at HomeGoods because this one here was a little bit more affordable, but way smaller. So think about the scale of something and inspect everything, especially if it's a clearance item. So one of these was damaged, but the other one wasn't, and they were the exact same price. Some of you may remember when I actually duped this beaded garland in the past using some Dollar Tree ornaments and my heat tool, some frosted spray paint, and it was okay. But if I had to buy all of the spray paints and my heat tool and all of that, I would actually spend more than if I just bought it outright from HomeGoods. Moving along now into books. So HomeGoods is going to have kind of, I hate to use this word, like trendy books that people use a lot for styling, but you also want to pick up books that you're actually interested in. I actually still have a lot of luck at the thrift store finding really great books, and I never spend more than $2.49 for any hardcover book. But if there's a book, I've been wanting this kinfolk book, especially as we're going into like our gardening season. In order to just make sure you're getting the best deal, I like to just do a quick little Google search and see what like Target or Amazon is selling that book for, and usually HomeGoods is the most affordable price point, especially when you compare it to anything from like Pottery Barn or Restoration Hardware. It's not even a comparison. But there is one kind of book category that is an absolute no for me. It's these like faux book stacks. We can do way better, and I'm going to show you how we can do better. So these book stacks are at least always $20 at HomeGoods. You can find these little book boxes at the Target Dollar Spot right now. They are $3 a piece, and you can just simply paint over these and then wrap whatever you want around them. I love the linen covered books from RH, but they, again, are insanely expensive. So I'm going to start off by just spray painting these with some chalk paint that I have on hand. Taking some scrap linen fabric, I'm going to wrap these book boxes around with this fabric. The only kind of like detail thing I really wanted to do was add strands of hot glue on the binding of the side there, just like the one from RH. I kind of wish I would have done more of those to make it look more similar, but I think that this is just a really easy way. Take some Mod Podge and just attach the linen covering to your book box, and I think it looks super similar, but so much more budget friendly. Next up, let's talk about candles. So maybe it's just me. I mean, I've bought candles from Pottery Barn. I've bought the Castelluna brand from Target, which are kind of expensive, honestly. They look really similar to the ones from Pottery Barn, and they are cheaper than the Pottery Barn version, but I still always prefer the candles that I get from HomeGoods, not only in terms of scent, but also I feel like they last the longest and they're the cheapest. So when it comes to candles, HomeGoods for me definitely wins. And unfortunately, when it comes to the thrift store, even if I do find a candle at the thrift store that is unused, oftentimes I'm not crazy for the scent, or it's half used, or it's just very, very rare to find. So I would say go the HomeGoods route in this category because you can find so many options that you'll really enjoy at an affordable price point. I know people are gonna have something to say for this category, but here's the deal. When it comes to the textiles, it's a no from me, and I'll tell you why. I think that you can find really great quality pieces at the thrift store that will be way more affordable than anything you will find at HomeGoods. So for example, I have found Our House pillows. I have found Pottery Barn pillows, and I found those really high quality pillows for just a couple bucks by shopping secondhand. For example, I found this Ethan Allen blanket. All of the blankets on Ethan Allen's website are at least like $100. So I think the fact that this one was just $5 was a pretty good price point. Also found this really beautiful houndstooth blanket. It was just $3 with any textile. Even if I was going to buy it from HomeGoods, I would still wash it, which is always my recommendation for you guys. If you can throw it in your washing machine, I think it's good enough to bring home. Next up, let's talk about pottery. I would say that HomeGoods is a definite win because you can find almost like identical dupes to what you would find at Pottery Barn, like the Joshua vase is a very popular bestseller vase through Pottery Barn. And you can find something that looks really similar for like a third or even a fourth of the price. The only kind of thing I would still say though is don't count the thrift store out, because if it's simply like a color adjustment that needs to be made, that is super simple to do. I found this blue tagged vase here for $4. It was half off. Now, because I already have all of the spray paints and supplies I need to kind of get this Pottery Barn look, I'm really only out $2. But if you had to buy everything new and you're not really great at spray painting, I would say go the HomeGoods route because you're still gonna get a better price than you would at a high-end store. Now let's focus on our small scale furniture pieces. So HomeGoods does have really beautiful kind of trendy options that require really no DIY. However, I would have to be really confident that I wouldn't find anything remotely similar at the thrift store that just needed a little TLC. So for example, I found these bar stools here for just $4 a piece, taking that same linen fabric that we used for the books, ruching it around. Because this was for an Anthropologie dupes video, I added some fringe detailing around it that I also thrifted. I ended up selling these for profit, but if I were to keep them, these would have been so much more affordable to keep versus buying these 2 rattan bar stools that HomeGoods was selling. Another rattan piece I don't think I would ever really buy from HomeGoods are these rattan plant stands. I seemingly find these all the time at the thrift store, and these are weirdly expensive at HomeGoods, so I would say go the thrift route if you can first and see if you can save a little bit of money there. One recommendation, if you are ever on the fence about a piece of furniture, my best tip is to use an app called Google Lens, and that app allows you to kind of screenshot the item at the thrift store and it will pull up things that look similar, if not the exact same item. Now, of course, this cooler needs a little bit of TLC. There's going to be some painting involved. The top was broken, so I needed to fix that. But for $5, maybe I spend 20 bucks, and that's maybe. I probably would spend more like $10 to fix this up. It's still way less than I would pay if I was shopping retail, which of course means that it is coming home with me. So now we've walked all around HomeGoods, we've loaded up the cart, and something I personally like to do is take a break, and I like to go somewhere else. I leave temporarily to go just give myself a visual break of everything I've just seen, everything I was planning on purchasing. It just gives you a little bit of time to avoid avoid an impulse purchase. And that really wraps it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Kind of a different take on our thrift store challenge videos typically, but I still wanted to include a lot of helpful tips and tricks to kind of get that high-end look, but on a budget. With all that said, I hope that everybody has an amazing week, and I will see you guys back here next Sunday. Bye for now.